I'm Chris, and this is Beau, and we are on a heinous track. And welcome to another experiment. And welcome to fall 2020. It's October. About a little bit after the first week of October. Hadn't done an experiment for a while. I had planned on doing on the final day of September, and it was a lead up to a story that goes into October. But something came up today, a most bogus day to be remembered. Today, certainly my favorite guitar player of all time, Eddie Van Halen of Van Halen, died today. Growing up, I remember, listening to a lot of bands. When I finally started listening to bands, I wasn't really particular on one band, except for Van Halen. When I started getting to know their catalog, they certainly became, one of my top 5 bands of all time. And Eddie, as number one guitar player, he just spoke to me. I'm not a guitar player. I played a little bass, but I'd rather smash the thing, quite frankly. And growing up, listening to a lot of punk and hardcore, Van Halen, for some reason, on the radio stood out. Obviously, Eddie's dynamic, bright brown sound guitar, his innovation of the just shone out even on speakers, even without, and then the dynamics of their flashiness and their big tours, but starting out when they were just playing backyard parties and playing before they were signed, doing covers and whatnot. I got to know the band through like bootlegs and stuff like that. They just one of the few bands that I really always held dear, always will. And of course, later on when David Lee Roth went solo and Sammy Hagar came on, Montrose I listened to a little bit, and in Sammy's solo work I had been, but Van Hagar, which most of us called it, never really appealed to me. I love Sammy as a vocalist. He's still going strong. He's great, and he works well with ex bass player Michael Anthony, very well. I was kind of glad to see Van Halen sort of become a family unit, although Michael Anthony just was a rock with them. But I started not listening to Van Halen during that time. I found other bands filled that void when Dave, and I would always see Dave on his solo tours. And Dave always stood out because of his sort of showmanship. He was just more than just a front man. He was an entertainer in the sort of old vaudeville tradition. And of course, David Lee Roth also grew up in Swampscott, Massachusetts, right next to Marblehead when I was growing up. I forget the years, but and then during that time also discovering the Bill and Ted movie when it finally came out after it was delayed. The references to Eddie Van Halen all through it, and I was hoping when I did end up going to LA that and then I ended up on the Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey shoot, that during the Battle of the Bands that, you know, maybe Eddie would show up or something like that. But the funny thing, when I was living out in LA, this was, I wanted to bring this up, you know, just that I had this friend of mine who had a collection of phone numbers of celebrities. I guess because he had some sort of business. And so one day we were going through it, and he had Eddie Van Halen's personal phone number. And so I said, Jesus, oh. So I dial the number, and then wait, and then you hear a recording, and it's like Sammy Hagar's voice, and he goes, "Hello, baby." And, you know, it's like, thank you. And he goes, "This is 5150 Studios," or whatever. And I waited for the beep to record, and I said, "Hey, Eddie, please don't change the number or anything. I got the number through a friend, and I just wanted to tell you that I love your guitar playing ever since, and I can't say how, you know, you're most excellent or whatever." And just hung up, man. I just, please, you know, I won't bother you ever again. I just wanted to tell you that I really appreciate you. And so that's kind of why I did this video, was to finalize kind of that and share that little story. It was a really sad day, but hope you are enjoying the fall. And next door to my house is very busy at all times. Everybody's in the hocus pocus mood. So I'll be doing another video very soon. So party on.